Hello, and this video is basically tons of random space-related facts, but mostly mysteries about space, so things that are pretty unexplainable and people don't know about space. So the first one is rogue planet. There is a very strange thing in space where there's things called rogue planets, which are planets that aren't following a sun and aren't orbiting anything, but just basically drifting aimlessly through space. And they're mostly a mystery currently. It's not really known how they could have come to just be floating around in space. Because in space, it seems like there's zero gravity, but no matter where you are in space, there's constantly some amount of gravity pulling you somewhere, even if it's very slight. But even if it's very slight, it's still going to pull a planet towards something. Because, as an example, like when someone tries to send a spaceship or anything basically into space, the second you get past Earth's gravity, then you have to deal with the moon pulling it towards it, or pulling the thing to the sun. So when you're in space, basically everything's pulling you towards something. So it's strange that entire planets are able just to leave their solar system. It's pretty unknown. A few of the theories is there's a theory that possibly another rogue planet could kind of like come and somehow push one out, but if that is true, then how did the first rogue planet come to be? The other theory is that they could have possibly just formed outside of a solar system, which would probably be extremely hard to do, but it's surprising because they seem like they would be very rare and like kind of weird because of how unknown they are, but it's calculated that there is probably trillions of rogue planets in the Milky Way, which is only one galaxy in all of space. So there's near infinite amounts of rogue planets, which is strange because no one even knows what they're created by. There's a bunch that have been known and talked about. So they're very strange. The second interesting science mystery is there's a theory. It's not exactly a mystery, but it's more of a theory that most telescopes that people have created aren't able to pick up fast-moving objects. They can pick up things that are moving pretty fast, but if something's moving insanely fast, then our telescope couldn't pick it up. So there's a theory that there could be tons of stuff in space that are passing by Earth all the time without people ever knowing, because no one would ever see it or get a picture of it or a video of it with a telescope. There's a really interesting theory, which is what if when we eventually do create a telescope that can see really fast-moving objects, we turn it on and there's just fast-moving objects everywhere, and there's things zipping past Earth all the time. That's a possible explanation for why humans haven't found aliens. Maybe they just have created technology that goes somehow faster than light, even though that's kind of impossible. But the reason why it's impossible to go faster than light is probably something I'll cover in another video, because that's an extremely complicated and strange topic. But that is an interesting idea. The third science mystery-ish thing is there's this meteor called it's called something that I probably can't pronounce, but it was a completely flat, kind of circular meteor that passed by Earth. And here's the thing, which makes it interesting, is it's probably just a coincidence or just the fact that it's a weirdly shaped meteor. But people have been developing basically an idea for a fast-moving space object would be something that is super large, circular, and flat, because that means it would basically have if you put a massive box or something in space, it has a high chance of getting hit by something. But if it's super large but flat, there's a lower chance that it'll get hit by something unless something comes at it in a different direction. So there's some people have predicted that maybe it's some kind of creature-made object or something. It's probably not, but it's still a strange shaped object. Black holes in general, people know barely anything about them. But everyone kind of knows what black holes are. In case you don't, though, I'll basically give an explanation. A black hole is basically an object-ish that basically has so much gravitational power that anything and everything will get sucked towards it. They're invisible because it even sucks light to it. The reason you can't see it because it sucks the light towards it is because the way you see something is light hits something, bounces off of it, and goes back into your eyes. But since the light just gets sucked into it, you can't see them. The way they are created is tons of mass and density is crushed into such a small area that its gravity causes other things to come into it. And fun fact, people have created man-made black holes in particle accelerators because the one thing is those black holes are extremely small and basically don't do anything, because when a black hole is created, it emits Hawking radiation, and the more Hawking radiation it emits, the smaller it gets, but the more things it consumes, basically, the larger it gets. So since they're so small, that they start out so small, they basically just fizzle out of existence. But people have created mini black holes, which is kind of a scary thought. But then there's the fact that basically to create a stable black hole, you would need something like the moon crushed down to a marble. And for the final kind of unknown science thing about space, this one's a bit more known because it actually has scientific evidence about it, but it's still something that's pretty interesting and space related, is theoretically, if you invented space travel, it would also be time travel. Because there's a theory on how you could time travel forwards, which is basically the more you move, the faster you move, the more time slows down for you. There's a very interesting and good YouTube video explaining how this works, and it's kind of long to explain and hard to explain, but basically, when you get close to the speed of light, time slows down enough that you can't get to the speed of light, which is a bit strange to think that the universe and time itself is basically warping to stop you from getting faster than the speed of light. It's really confusing why the speed of light is just the barrier of speed that no one can cross. But basically, so if you went extremely fast, time would slow down for you. It would seem like only an hour has passed, but to other people it could be days or years. So there's a theory that you could create a spaceship that would just go up, basically orbit Earth extremely fast for one day, come back down, but 100 years would have passed on Earth, which theoretically if someone did that, there's a high chance Earth and humanity would have just destroyed itself, which sounds like a really good plot for a movie. That's basically the plot of Planet of the Apes, but that's completely unrelated. So time travel is technically possible, and it has to do with space travel. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I hope you liked the video, and goodbye.